Vaya con Dios, amigo.
What's that mean?
Go with God.
You're listening to the Rock God Podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Rock God Podcast, the only podcast that talks to rock and heavy metal musicians and artists about their thoughts or opinions about God. I'm your host, David Locklear, the owner and head writer at heavy-vinyl.com. Today we're talking to Kirk Windstein, vocalist for New Orleans sludge metal pioneers Crowbar. Crowbar songs are unapologetic, emotional outpourings, with a bare-knuckle resolve that sits alongside a soul-searching vulnerability and reliably delivered with crushing heaviness. The band, formed in 1990, and released their legendary debut Obedience Through Suffering in 1991. Crowbar are now set to release their long-awaited new full-length album Zero and Below on March 4th, 2022 via MNRK Heavy Records. Zero and Below is an unforgivably doomy Crowbar record, with songs like Her Evil is Sacred and Chemical Gods. Crowbar, with Matt Brunson on guitar, Shane Wesley on bass, and Tommy Buckley on drums, maintain a sludgy stage on Zero and Below with every massive chord that they play.
Blinding the gift
Hero and Below. You guys are going to be dropping that on March 4th. Are you guys going to be releasing a vinyl version of that?
Actually, we're releasing about 8 or 10 different vinyl versions.
Are you really?
Yeah, we have colored vinyl, we have splatter vinyl, we have cassette tapes, we have all kind of stuff. So, I mean, to be honest, I'm not even sure exactly how many different vinyls we have, but yeah, it's vinyl is a big thing now. You know, it's outselling CDs like by a lot. You know, so it's a big deal. You know, so and I mean, like for us, and I'm sure it's all the other bands are like that too. If you buy a Crowbar vinyl, you get a free digital download with it. So you know, you get both. So you know, that's kind of good.
Yeah, I always like the download codes when they come in a vinyl record, just because it's I guess it's kind of convenient if you don't have time to spin a little wax. Then you can put it in your computer or your phone and just go to town.
Yep, it definitely works.
I can't believe that cassettes are becoming a new thing again. Honestly, that's a medium I never care to revisit, but I'm glad that there are a lot of people that appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I mean, being my age, it's like I never purchased like cassette tapes of albums. I always bought the album and then recorded it on a blank cassette. You know, so I could listen to it in my car or whatever. I just, to me, it wasn't worth spending the money on a cassette, that they melt in the car and they can pop. It's a lot, I mean, I was never, I just used it, like I said, I would make a lot of compilation tapes, with pick like 15 bands or something, and put one song from each one,
Yeah.
And stuff like that, but yeah, it's kind of, I guess it's just all part of the whole retro, the whole thing coming back, and I mean, like with the vinyl and stuff, man, kids at the shows, they don't even care. Like literally, it could be anything that's vinyl and they buy it. I mean, we've been on tour with bands, who were more or less, not, it's no disrespect or anything, but they're not like really a big band. And they might have 5 or 6 different vinyls, and kids didn't even really know. Like they'd come buy a Crowbar T-shirt or something, and hey man, can't wait for the show, and they buy all the vinyl from the other band. And this is a while back, and we were kind of like, well, you know what? We need to start getting on that. We got to make sure we got vinyl at all times, because there's definitely a big desire for it out there.
Yeah. It's one of those things I keep waiting to hear about the bubble bursting a little bit, but it seems like every successive year for the past 7 or 8 years, it's just become one of those things where they say it's selling more and more and more, and it just keeps going. So, I mean, I think it's great, because there's something about having a tangible piece of music to hold on to and kind of look at while you're listening to. It's just really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, coming from I started building my record collection, so to speak, in the 70s, so it's like, things were so much different then. I mean, I can't even remember, my mom just dropping me and 1 or 2 friends off at like a record store and going to the mall and the grocery store and whatever. She was gone for hours,
Yeah.
And she'd be like, okay, I'm dropping y'all off at noon. I'll be back at 3:30, because there was no cell phones. And, sure enough, she'd be there around 3:30, and we go in, and, I go through every vinyl from A to Z, every different genre, everything. And, pick out 1 or 2 or whatever, every week. And that just kind of rolled back then. So I'm glad that, that young people in the new generation are really eating up, the vinyl thing, man. It's a great thing.
Yeah, I love it too. I'm glad that it's becoming less of a passive activity and more, you have to put a little effort into it, because I feel like you appreciate it more when you have to put some effort in, as opposed to just pressing a button or 2 on your phone.
Yeah, totally. Like, I mean, me, I don't even have music on my phone or my computer. I just, listen to CDs in the car or the radio. I mean, honestly, I don't even have that much time to listen to music, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe on tour a little bit. But at home, it's nonstop,
Yeah.
responsibility and just, life. And that's that. So, I don't have a whole lot of time, not nearly like I did when I was younger.
Yeah.
But, so for me, I mean, yeah, if I get to, excuse me, I'll put on a vinyl. I mean, that was the thing, man. The whole listening of a vinyl was like, the whole thing was a listening and visual experience. You would look at the album cover and read the lyrics, and, learn all the lyrics of the songs. I mean, now, even myself included, I'll pop a CD in of a band and be like, man, I really like track 4. Like, I don't even know the name of the song. I got to go back and look. And that's just, it's kind of gotten that way where, when I was younger, I mean, I knew every lyric to every song and every the running order, the whole 9 yards. So it's definitely a good thing. Yeah,
because it's one of those things that before all the streaming and MP3s and whatnot, it was just as much a financial decision as it was an artistic one. You're like, I'm deciding to invest my $15 into this record, and I hope to God it's good,
Right.
So yeah, you put a lot more focus on it, and like I was even talking to a friend of mine, he was saying how interesting it was that when you back in then, you actually would look at the producer. You would look at the writer,
the songwriters, the producer, the fucking the publishing company, the whole 9 yards. I mean, that was it, man. The whole thing. I put on my headphones and just lay back in the bed and just read everything that was written on a record. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it with me, it was always, I would check the lyrics to see and make sure that they weren't something that was, I guess completely against my belief system, which, my personal belief system is I'm a Christian. And so if I came across lyrics that were, sort of overly blasphemous or maybe didn't have a sense of humor or something like that, that was helpful to me to be like, okay, I don't know if I'm comfortable with this band, especially when I was younger. As I've gotten older, I don't really worry about that as much. But when I was younger, that was a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of the same way. I mean, I was, brought up Christian, so it's like, but, I always looked at it like, if I want to listen, I love the Slayer's music, and yeah, they're singing about, I just looked at it as like a musical version of a horror movie, where, I mean, I don't really think that they take it very seriously. It's just the imagery,
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it definitely, same with me, I mean, I'd read everything and be like, I don't know about this one, but, I try to just think of it as like horror movies or something.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of people kind of miss that perspective on some level. That there are some people who mean it, and then there are other people who, it's like you said, they're just trying to maybe tell a story, kind of like the band Ghost BC. They pretty much come out and said, no, we're like the musical equivalent of Rosemary's Baby.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And it's true. I mean, and most of the guys, that I met, I mean, there's, there are bands out there, of course, that take it really seriously and whatnot, and that's their business. I mean, that's their freedom to do it, but, I mean, meeting the guys in Slayer or something, it's like, I mean, I've never once had a discussion about, Satan,
Mm-hmm.
Start talking about guitar gear and and just normal shit,
Yeah. Well, when you guys were first starting out early on, I think there was a much bigger distinction between rock bands who had a Christian leaning versus the rest of like rock and heavy metal, and I feel like that's kind of become blurred. In the last like 10 to 20 years or so, there doesn't seem to be as much of a line in the sand. It almost seems like if you have a Christian belief, it's not as looked down on anymore. And, you know, did you guys have any kind of negative experiences when you were first starting out, since you do have sort of a Christian leaning in a lot of your music?
Not really, because, you know, we don't, you know, like, put it this way, myself and our drummer, you know, were raised, you know, Christian, and you know, but Matt, actually, I think Shane probably kind of leans toward that as well, but I know Matt's an atheist, you know, and it doesn't bother me one bit, you know. It's like, that's his personal decision, but, you know, I mean, we were never blatant with things. You know, I might throw in a few lines here and there or something, but in general, we were never blatant with the lyrics being, you know, full on, you know, about Christianity or whatnot. You know, you know, I just try to write, you know, especially like with some of the newer stuff as I get older. I try to always put that light at the end of the tunnel, you know, so to speak, with my lyrics, where if I'm writing about a dark subject matter, you know, I'm still giving the person listening, you know, that there's hope and help, and you know, you can get through this dark time in your life, or, you know, whether it's drug addiction, whatever it might be, you know, you can get through this, and you know, so I try not to make it so, you know, so blatant, you know, but so we never really had any backlash from it. You know, even bands like Trouble, who I'm a huge fan of, you know, they're a Christian band, were a Christian band, but you know, I mean, you know, some of their lyrics were a lot more, you know, leaning, like, where I would say, like I said, you know, like blatantly into Christian type lyrics, much more so than Crowbar, but, you know, just, you know, I mean, for me, I mean, I love the band for the music, for the you know, the lyrics, to everything, you know, it doesn't make a difference, but I just love them, but but yeah, you know, I think that they were a lot more, you know, blatantly Christian with their lyrics, and, you know, that was never, because my thing is, I like to try to leave religion and politics out of everything. Everybody's got their own opinions, and, you know, that opinion is right for that person, you know, and I really, you know, I mean, if somebody's gonna be vocal about religious beliefs, even if it is, you know, like something like satanic or something like that, whatever, you know, it doesn't seem to bother me nearly as much as, you know, when celebrities use their notoriety, their popularity, whatever, to be so vocal about politics. It's just like, I don't give a shit about your opinion, you know. Honestly, it's like, you know, I mean, you're you know, you believe what you believe, you vote for who you want to vote for, and that's that. But I mean, you know, I don't need to be preached about it all the time, you know. So I wish that people would just shut up, you know, about the political thing. Really, for me, is what gets me. Like, I like to always say, you know, Lemmy always said, politicians, they're all full of shit. And I kind of believe that. So,
yeah,
you know, I kind of live by that, like, you know, and that's just that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm the same way. I used to be really passionate about politics back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and I forget exactly what happened, but something clicked where I realized, like, oh no, none of them care. None of them give a shit. It's literally a power grab to continue to keep power, and that was when I lost interest.
Yeah, and you know, and the thing is too, you know, like, I mean, I completely agree with that, but also it's like, just as a person, you know, as a citizen of the country or whatever, you know, it's like, you know, you can't win no matter what. You know, you're gonna piss somebody off. Some people are gonna agree with you. Some people are gonna hate you for what you're saying. You know, you can't win. So why even bring it up and start something that you really have no chance of winning? You know, I mean, that's the way I feel about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the funnier things that I've heard about. My wife was telling me that I don't know where this was being reported, but there is some news report talking about the COVID infections of the deer population and how they're worried about that's going to be a mutation that's going to spread to people. And what's funny is that when she told me that, I thought it was ridiculous, and yet at the same time, I'm thinking, well, if somebody brings this up and says this is really stupid, I get the feeling they're going to be maligned as some kind of an anti-vax crazy person, even though we're talking about COVID and deers, you know?
Right. No, exactly. It's true. And that's the thing, too, you know, it's like, look, you know, I mean, my wife and I are vaccinated, and that's that, you know, you know, I mean, if I had a different job, if I worked out of my house and I didn't travel and I didn't really go anywhere or something, maybe I wouldn't have gotten it. But, you know, being that, you know, we have to be vaccinated in order to travel and protect ourselves and protect others, you know, when we are traveling. So, I mean, it's the whole thing with the COVID, too. It's like everybody's got an opinion, and it's the same way I feel, you know, because it is kind of a political thing. Yeah. So it's the same way I feel with that, is just, you know, I'm just like, you know, it doesn't even, like, you know, when I'm doing interviews, if people ask me about it, I'm like, look, I'm fully vaccinated, and I caught it, you know, and I'm like, so I should have antibodies. I'm like, you know, I wear my mask, I keep my social distancing, keep my hands clean. That's all I can do, you know, and that's what I, you know, I just want to be smart, and that's that.
Yeah, and that also, I mean, you're coming from a place where, you know, I'm sure a lot of your livelihood is dependent on live shows. So, of course, you know, it's like one of those things you got to, you know, even if you, whether you agree or not, you got to take care of it and make sure that, you know, everybody's going to be okay when they come to check out Crowbar.
Exactly. And, you know, and that's true. You know, so.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like whenever I go to a show, I'm not wild about wearing a mask in there, but whatever. You know, the fact that live shows are happening again after not being there for, about a year at least.
Yeah, I mean, for us down in New Orleans, it was on and off for like 2 years, you know, like a couple of months in. They're like, okay, we're going to start having 50% capacity, you know, and this is like prior to even a vaccine, you know, so they're like, you know, 50% or 25% capacity at shows and blah, blah, blah. You know, so yeah, I mean, we do what we got to do. You know, if they ask us to wear a mask, we wear it. And that's that. You know, I'm just glad, like you said, I'm just glad to have live shows.
Yeah, because it's one of those things I didn't even realize how much I missed it until I couldn't go any longer. And last September, I went to a show, and I was reinvigorated. It was one of those things where I was like, man, I can't believe how much I missed this. Yeah. I'll wear a mask. I don't give a shit.
Yep, exactly. Let me go to the show.
Right? Yeah. Now, you know, your new album, Zero and Below. You guys actually made that during the lockdown sessions. Is that correct? That you guys made that during lockdown?
Actually, it was complete. And when I mean complete, I mean mixed, mastered, and turned into the label before the lockdown even happened.
Really?
So, yeah, so it's been 2 years. You know, it was February of 2020, you know, and the whole thing really started, you know, kicking in March, you know, like mid-March or something down by us anyway. So, yeah, we were done, you know, and I would say mid-February. You know,
wow, I didn't know that. That's really surprising, because I knew you made your solo album, the Dream in Motion. That was during COVID, though, wasn't it?
No, it actually came out January of 2020.
I am completely misinformed. I am so sorry.
No worries. So I'm actually doing another solo record, which that I made during the COVID. You know, that was the only real thing I could do, you know, creative-wise. It's a lot of fun. It's no pressure. It's really something for me and for the fans who do enjoy it, you know. But yeah, you know, so that was the newer one, which I'm still not complete with, but that was done during the lockdown, just to give me, you know, some studio stuff to do and you know, some songs to write and whatnot. But yeah, it was really difficult for us to have to sit on the record for 2 years. You know, I mean, of course, we let our friends hear it and stuff, but you know, it was like, you know, we love the record and we're like, man, this sucks. You know, we literally can't even, you know, we can't get it out to the fans. We can't go, play and support it, and we can't let the fans, hear it, and, so it sucked.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's got to be rough because I guess from my perspective, what I would be doing is I'd be worried I would be trying to go back and fix things I didn't like, because that's just sort of the, my nature and whatnot. So I can't imagine sitting on something for 2 years and not touching it.
Well, I mean, and really to me, that shows, how much we believe in the record and how strong we think it is, because honestly, you would think that would be what was going on. Like, oh my God, can we remix it, or can I want to change this, blah 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 blah. But no, man. I mean, I tried to just listen with an open mind and try not to overanalyze it, and worked. I mean, like when I listened to it, today, 2 years later, I still love the record. So I mean, that's a great thing.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, like for example, since we're talking about, spirituality and whatnot on this podcast, with the new record, the song, Her Evil is Sacred, you've got the lyric, kneeling down on bloody knees. And so I want to know, like, how much of a spiritual aspect is inside of this record, since you haven't touched it in 2 years. And, have you put anything on the record that maybe your opinions have changed about over the last 2 years, or do you still pretty much the same as, when you first recorded it?
I'd say, pretty much the same, attitude as I did going in to do it. And like with me, a lot of times, I mean, almost pretty much every song, I write a lot of metaphors and stuff, so it doesn't necessarily, really mean, kneeling down on bloody knees, but at the same time, it can. But I do write a lot of, like in Chemical Gods, I think it is. There's a line that says, nails in my hands. It doesn't actually mean, the song's about drug abuse, so it doesn't actually mean like being crucified, but it means like, the harm you're doing to yourself is, I don't want to compare it to crucifixion, but you know what I'm saying? You're doing, instead of writing a needle in your arm or some shit, I just wrote, nails in my hands, like kind of lending itself toward, like you're crucifying yourself, by doing this, so to speak.
Almost like you're martyring yourself to something that you don't need to martyr yourself to, in a way.
Exactly.
And that it's a shame to think that there are people that are that deep in struggle, but it's absolutely true. I mean, I know you've gone on record talking about struggles with alcohol when you're on the road and whatnot.
Yeah, man. And it still haunts. It's just something that you got to take day by day, and it just sometimes I'll go on a nice stroll and I have no issues whatsoever, and everything's completely under control. And then, I mean, like for me personally, and I'm sure a lot of other people, I mean, during the height of the, I didn't have anything to do. I was depressed. I was scared. I was full of anxiety, not knowing, what the future holds for musicians and, in my career and the band and the whole 9 yards, So, I mean, yeah, I was a lot, and a lot of people I know are too, but, I've kind of been trying to do the opposite lately, which is good. Because the older I get, man, almost 57, and it's like, I just find that people like my wife, she can deal with going off once every 3 or 4 weeks. We go out and have some beers or whatever and listen to music or whatever it might be. And she's fine with it, And I'm really trying to get that way, because it's like those hangovers are not, they're 10 times worse than they used to be.
Yeah. I feel your pain. I'm 46, and that's starting to happen to me, so I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it only gets worse, and that's the truth. So, I think she does a better job of just saying, okay, that was it. That was my fun. Boom, I'm cutting it off. I don't need to drink for, 3 or 4 weeks. And, where me, I'll be like, oh God, I feel terrible. Oh, well, maybe this afternoon I'll go grab a 12-pack or something, and whatever, just to try to feel a little better. Well, that ends up, all you do is prolong the inevitable, which is you're going to feel like shit anyway. You might as well just get that over with. you know, and then it's done. But
yeah.
But yeah, man, it definitely gets, you know, tougher as you get older.
Oh yeah, and I feel like in a weird sort of way that's a deterrent as you get older, where you're going, I don't feel like drinking as much just because I'm gonna feel like shit. I know this, and yet,
and I can't get anything done. It's like I'm so productive.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's eating a clean diet, whether it's just getting things I need to get done. You know, it's so much. You know, it really does. You know, the positive of not drinking highly outweighs the fun of it, so to speak. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and you know, one of the things that I remember reading about you guys was that you guys try to make your time on the road a time of where you're working. Like, you know, we're playing shows and we're doing what we're supposed to do because this is our gig, and that to go out and get hammered and, you know, shit-faced and all that kind of stuff is kind of counterproductive to doing a good job. And I found that completely fascinating because that made me realize if I was in a band, I would not be in a band for more than a year because I would go completely alcohol and substance abuse, fall apart, and get kicked out of the band.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, and it's you know, the thing is you know, everybody, you know, that I've played in bands with, different bands and all that, one time or another, we've all fucked up, we've all overdone it, things like that. The thing is we don't have, you know, a crew. I mean, my wife tour manages and does merchandise, but I mean, you know, we have to set up our own shit, change our own strings, so it's not like we can just lay in the bunk and suck it up till it's time, you know, just try to sleep the day away until it's time. Mm-hmm. You know, to drink some beer or something. It's like, no, you got to get out, get up, get your shit together, brush your teeth, take your fucking vitamins, and get on about your day because you got a lot of responsibility, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's like you know, it's amazing how much people underestimate having a schedule makes a difference in terms of making good decisions.
Absolutely, and I'm a very firm believer in that.
Yeah. So you guys are going to be touring. Let's see. You're going to be. Yeah, I guess the tour is coming up in the next couple of weeks. So you guys are going to be on the road for a little while. So, you know, how's that going to be? Are you got a plan for you know, a plan of attack, so to speak?
Just, you know, kick ass every night, and you know, just try to get sleep, try to eat good, eat your vitamins. You know, we always bring weights and stuff, just light lifting, but just something, you know. Mm-hmm. And it's all part of that, just having that schedule, you know, having everything laid out every day, all the responsibility you got to do. You know, it definitely works.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's see. I was trying to see if there's any other question. I apologize. I'm a little scattershot right now, so.
That's all good.
But no, I did want to talk to you about a couple of other things about like what are your beliefs? Like, what is your specific belief? You know, you said you're Christian, but you try to kind of keep that at a minimum when you're playing your music. But you know, you said you were born into it, and you know. You've got beliefs that you have when you're younger and that you're taught, but then as you get older, I feel like things change and you maybe come up with perspectives that are more your own than what you were taught. And are there any things in your life that have kind of changed over the years where you used to believe one thing and now it's kind of changed into another in terms of your spiritual walk?
Not so much really changed. Just, you know, like for me personally, it's like, you know, I feel, of course, the older I get, that my faith gets stronger. But, and, you know, I mean, for me, you know, I guess the easiest way to describe it would be that, of course, I would never deny my faith. I would never deny that at all. Mm-hmm. But I also believe that being a public figure, like I was saying earlier with the politics and this and that, whatever, that I don't think that I need to shove it down people's throats. You know, if somebody came to me and asked me about it, of course I'm very willing to talk to them about it. You know, it's just for me, you know, my faith gets stronger as I get older, and it helps me, you know, get through every day. So I would say, that's the most important thing to me.
And that's going to do it for this episode of the Rock God Podcast. I want to thank Kirk for taking a few minutes to talk to us out of his busy schedule. I also want to make sure that you guys know to go to their Facebook page, Crowbar Music. Also on Twitter, Crowbar Rules, and check out Instagram, Crowbar Music. Also, make sure to pick up Zero and Below when it's released on March 4th, and make sure that you go out and check their stage show out whenever they come to a town near you. Also, make sure to go to heavy-vinyl.com if you're looking for any kind of records or cassettes that might fill your metal and rock needs. I'm your host, David Locklear. Thanks for listening, and God bless.